What is OSI model? OSI model stands for Open System Interconnection Model. It is a conceptual model that explains how data travel from one computer to another over a network. Now, why OSI model is important? Because it helps to understand how networking actually works, and it makes it easier to design, troubleshoot, and improve networks. Now, it also divides the whole net process of communication into seven clear layers, each with a specific role. Now, the seven layers of OSI model are: physical layer, it the actual hardware layer, cable, Wi-Fi signals, bits that transmit the raw data, or in easy words, you can say it sends electronical or wireless signals physically to the other phone. Second one is data link layer, handles MAC address and ensure data move from one device to another on some network. Example switch. In network layer, it designs the best path for the data to travel and handle IP and route addresses and routing. For example, IP routers. And in fourth transport layer, it breaks the data into small packets and ensure they are sent and received correctly. And the section layer, this, it manages the session communication between two devices, starts, maintains, and ends communication. In sixth presentation layer, it converts data into a format the application can understand, like encryption, compression, or data transmission. The seventh one is application layer. This is where the user interact with application like web browser, email, etc. Now, if you take an example, some example of to understand, let's say you send a message from your phone to your friend's phone. Application layer, you type a message in WhatsApp, like and in presentation layer, message gets encrypted to security. For security. In session layer, connection between your phone and friends phone is established. And transport layer, the message is broken into a small packet. And in network layer, dis- decides the best route like GPS for data. Data link layer, user MAC address to send you data across Wi-Fi router, and in physical layer sends electronical or wireless signals physically to the layer. Now what is TCP/IP? TCP/IP stands for Transmission Control Protocol, an internet protocol. It is a set of communication protocol that allow computer and devices to connect and share data over the internet or any network. Now, how TCP/IP works? When you send data like opening a website or sending a message, the TCP/IP breaks your data into the small packets before sending. Make sure all the packets are sent, received, and assembled correctly at the destination. And it also checks the for the error and resends missing packets. In IP Internet Protocol, it takes those packets that and sends them to connect addresses using IP addresses, decides the best route for the packets to travel. Now, what is the difference between TCP and UDP? TCP stands for Transmission Protocol. control protocol, and UDP stands for user diagram protocol. Uh, in TCP, it is connection oriented. It means a connection is made between the sender and receiver before sending data. And in UDP, it is connectionless. It just sends data without making any connect. In TCP, it is reliable. It makes sure that all data reaches the destination correctly and in the right order. And in UDP, or it's not reliable. Data may be lost or arrive out of order, and the UDP doesn't check for the error. If we talk about speed of the TCP, it is lower because it checks everything, and in UDP, it is faster because it doesn't check connection or error. In TCP, the data transmission data sends data as a continuous stream of the bytes, and in UDP sends data in small packets called datagram. In error checking and recovery, the TCP has error checking and recovery, resends lost data, and in UDP only has basic error checking or recovery. If you have a use case, for example, in TCP used where accuracy or order are important, and in UDP used where speed is more important than reliability. Now let's quickly revise it. The TCP stands for Transmission Control Protocol, and UDP stands for User Datagram Protocol. TCP is connection oriented and UDP is connectionless. TCP is reliable and UDP is unreliable. And in speed, TCP is lower and UDP is faster. In data form, the TCP is stream and UDP datagram. In error recovery, TCP recovers the errors and but UDP doesn't. In TCP, it is best for web files, file transfer, and UDP is best for streaming, gaming, voice chats. Now, what is DNS? DNS stands for Domain Name System. The domain name system is like a phone book or of the internet. It converts domain name like www.google.com into a IP addresses like 142.250.190.14 that computer uses to communicate. So instead of remembering long number IP addresses, we just type website name. DNS does the work of finding the correct IP for us automatically. For example, you have you want to type www.google.com. The DNS translates it to 142.250.183.14 IP address of the YouTube. Then the browser connects that IP to YouTube and then the YouTube open. Now, how DNS work? In simple steps, you type a website name like www.google.com or anything. Your computer asks the DNS resolver for the IP addresses. Then the resolver look in it, catches the memory it found it remains the IP address, and if not, then it asks the other DNS server like root, then TLD, then authoritative. Now, the authoritative DNS server gives the final IP, then your user browser connects to that IP and loads the site. Now, what is DNS record? DNS record is a piece of information stored in the automative DNS server that tells the internet how to find your website or other services. Think of DNS record as instructions or entire inside the DNS database for a domain. Now, for example, when you buy a domain like mywebsite.com or any other, you create DNS record that say this website is hosted on the IP 203.0.113.1. The emails go to the mail dot mywebsite.com. Then this ally point to another site. How DNS record works. Every domain name has 0 files stored in an authoritative DNS server. That's zone files contain multiple DNS records. When someone tries to visit your site, DNS uses those records to find out where to send web traffic, where to send email, how to verify ownership, and many more. Now, why DNS records are important? It connects your domain to your website and email. It allows web traffic to reach the right server. It improves security and email deliverability, and it controls redirections and subdomain, and it helps in authentication like SPF, DKIM, and DMARC.